Welcome to the Oasis State podcast, a podcast where we peel back the layers of life's mysteries, decode the cosmic dance, and embrace the technicolor tapestry of our existence. I'm Zoe, your guide through the twists and turns of this wild journey we call life. If you've ever felt like you don't quite fit into society's mold, well, you've found the right place. Join me as we dive deep into the pool of existence, exploring the WTF moments that make life simultaneously confusing and exhilarating. From soul-expanding experiences to heart-wrenching healing journeys, we'll shine the light on all of it, and I'll share how we can alchemize these moments into pure magic and transformation. Consider this podcast your safe haven, your home away from home, where you can let your freak flag fly and embrace the full spectrum of who you are. So are you ready to join me on this soul-expanding adventure? Buckle up, my friends. Let's make some magic together. Hey party people, and welcome back to another episode of the Oasis State podcast. All right, let's dive straight into it with a disclaimer. This is a vulnerable share today. I was feeling a bit of shame come up around this situation, and I went to grab my journal to, pour my heart and soul into today about it. And then I had this sort of intuitive hit of well, why don't you just record a podcast and completely shatter this shame block? Because it's the shame keeps resurfacing around this situation and what's been going on for me for the last 3.5 months. So yeah, I was like, fair enough, guides, universe, higher self, whoever's guiding me. It's time to really just rip the roots of this shame block out because it's just exhausting. So yeah, I thought, why not record a podcast in real time with what's happening so that anyone on the internet can know what's going on in my life. But yeah, I actually always had an intention to share my story, but I think now I realize that my ego was sort of preempting that it would be told in past tense of I did all these things and I had a big trust fall and I, did this and did that and then I was successful, and then tell it in past tense. But now I'm realizing that I have to tell this story as it's happening because that's some soul-led guidance there, because there is so much more growth involved in me sitting here and sharing my truth now, rather than waiting till I get the other side and I can curate the story and be like, see, look at me, I was successful. And I think a lot of us who are on this journey of sort of being on a path less traveled, let's say, or daring to color outside of society's lines, we're all moving through a lot of shame about it, and we're sort of doing it in secrecy. So one, I'm recording this today because it's going to be quite a cathartic process for myself and really shatter this shame block. And then two, I'm recording it for all the other Zoz or Zoz-like people out there who have felt the call to sort of step into their authentic expression and the insurmountable differences that experience feels like to the way that society works now. And it's quite an interesting path to travel down. So I hope that anyone listening to this podcast feels less alone on this journey if you're on a similar one, and has an opportunity to feel empowered, because I know, you can be flying the highest of highs, and then you can also be in the deepest trenches of, your fear and your shame around all of it, because we are going against the grain on this journey and it's so, so important. But it doesn't mean it doesn't come with its work, and it doesn't come with its complete discomfort. So yeah, I don't want to be doing this journey in secrecy anymore. I want to be owning my decisions and not really letting anyone else's opinion get to me. So yeah. Those are the reasons. Also, I had this intuitive hit about 2.5 hours ago, almost 3 now actually. And I have been fluffing around for those last 3 hours trying to find the perfect spot to record. So I'm really sorry if the quality of this recording isn't the greatest. I am recording it on my phone, and I was trying here, there, and everywhere to find a quiet enough spot. And this is the best that I can do. So I just really want to get this message out, and I hope that you guys can embrace the perfection that is the imperfection of this recording. And yeah, I feel like once I made that decision, so I had the inkling come through of, hey, why don't you completely shatter this shame block by just speaking your truth? And then I feel like it was almost the universe in this cheeky way really making me want to commit to that decision, because we can make a decision from a place of convenience, or we can make a decision from a place of commitment. And I just feel like the last few hours is really a test of how committed I am to speaking my truth and moving through this shame block and finally owning my journey, you know? And then also in that time that I've been trying to record, my friend's parents dropped over to where I currently am. And both of them actually were sort of basically questioning and really pushing on the shame. Basically questioning the decisions I've made in the last few months, which was really pushing on this shame block. And I just laughed at the synchronicity of it, because I've obviously committed to wanting to shift this shame block. So I feel like their conversation was very divinely guided, because it's really brought the shame trigger right to the surface right now, and I'm really sitting in a lot of discomfort. And it's a perfect time to jump on here and record this and use my voice, use my throat chakra to clear my sacral chakra where the shame is. So yeah, it's really wild, the timing of everything in this day. And I didn't expect to be, basically spending my entire day doing this podcast. But oh my God, the rewards I'm going to reap from this, and just the complete alignment. I can already feel it. And yeah, I also have just really been on this committed journey at the moment to speaking my truth, because I think all of us that are feeling this inkling of just not really vibing society and its values, and feeling that pull, like that heart pull and that soul-led pull to step into our own path and live our own way, it requires us to connect with, remember, activate, and understand our authentic self. And if we are not being vulnerable with ourselves and with the people around us, and you know, there's many expressions of vulnerability, then we will never understand our authentic selves, because we are constantly hiding. We are constantly hiding. We're constantly holding on to shame. We're constantly holding on to limiting beliefs, and we're constantly holding on to the judgment and opinions of other people. So it's really an incredible journey that I'm on at the moment, of just leaning into uncomfortable conversations, speaking my truth, not letting myself be such a curated version of myself, and just telling it like it is in that moment, rather than being quite hyper independent with my journey. And if I'm triggered or confused or feeling anxiety or feeling shame, you name it, I'll usually would retreat and deal with that, and then come back and, you know, share it through social media or my business, or with, you know, my friends and family. Whereas now I'm really exercising the freedom to speak my truth. And it's such a beautiful dance, this dance of just freeing yourself through the act of vulnerability. And then it's just so insane how quickly and powerfully you just realign with your authentic self. So that's another reason why I'm recording this podcast today, because being vulnerable is just really fun at the moment. Well, it's not, it's super uncomfortable, but it's fun too. I think you just have to have a lighthearted experience with all of this, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And I still cry, but I laugh more than I cry. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm going to mention like the first part of my journey, like a really highlight reel, quite quickly. And then I want to dive into decisions that I've made over the last 3.5 months and where my life is at because of it. So starting with the unexpected passing of my dad 2 years ago. I had quite a complicated relationship with him, and I always knew that dealing with our relationship and the triggers, and I don't like the word trigger, I can't find another one right now, so I'm going to keep saying trigger. Just dealing with all of the layers that come with having a complicated relationship with your parent. I've always known that would be a huge step on my spiritual journey. And his unexpected death was definitely one of the biggest spiritual initiations I've ever had. And I just knew that it was time to do the work. It was time to go into a big, deep spiritual cocoon and peel back all of the layers, peel back all of the things that had power over me that I did not want to have power over me anymore. So very similar to this vulnerability journey that I'm on, it's just this constant it's just this constant drive to not have anything have power over me. So in this journey with my dad, it was like, I don't want any trauma or any limiting beliefs or any heartache or devastation or any of those inevitable parts of life to have power over me. So I went into my spiritual cocoon to transmute it so it doesn't have power over me anymore. So similar to me coming on here and being vulnerable, it is because I refuse to let anything have power over me anymore. So yay! So yeah, I was in my spiritual cocoon for about 2 years, and then about 3 months ago, I would have felt it before then, but basically the first half of this year, I started feeling that pull to come out of my spiritual cocoon. I loved the solitude at the time. I just needed to do some deep healing. I needed to peel back all the layers. I needed to shine light on the dark parts of myself. I just needed to learn how to be comfortable with myself again after just having so much of the darkness pulled to the surface. And it was hard spiritual yakka, and I'm very, very grateful for it because I really do genuinely love and accept the version of me that's sitting here right now and recording this episode. And that's authentic, like, love that you can earn through doing this kind of work. So yeah, I was doing that and really loving the solitude. But then I think it was an encouraging sign that I actually started to get really restless and really bored with my life and really, really, I wouldn't say lonely, because I love being by myself. But yeah, I just felt, and I had the solitude, but I felt a need to add a sense of community to it. So it wasn't like I wanted to swap one for the other. Like, I don't want to be alone. I want to be with people. Now it's like, oh, I love being by myself, but I also want the option to be with aligned people. So yeah, that was really encouraging. I was like, okay, I'm getting really restless. And in the time that I was in my spiritual cocoon and just moving through, huge waves of grief and, transmuting all that comes with having a complicated relationship with a parent, I was just in survival mode, and I needed the bare minimum of things. I wasn't feeling creative. I wasn't like trying to put myself out there at all. And in that time, I got a full-time job because also the financial pressures of life were really traumatizing when I'm so deep in this like spiritual cocoon. And it's just traumatizing in general. And, I'm definitely have been put on this earth to dismantle this current society and create a new one, but I can do that in another episode. But I think we need to feel the complete misalignment and discomfort of those financial pressures to realize that society, the way that it is, does not have our best interests at heart. Anyway, I digress. I was in survival mode, and the financial pressures were a lot as well. So I went and got a full-time job, which is completely against my soul, my mind, body, and soul. It was really an uncomfortable experience, but one that I'm incredibly grateful for as well, because there's a lot of other people out there that would really love a full-time job. So I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to have one. I also used that time to, I wasn't living it up. I actually used most of my paychecks to consolidate my financial situation because I knew that I wouldn't survive in society's grip for too long. I would survive, but I wouldn't be able to thrive. So I knew that, okay, this full-time job is only a short chapter. So I just used everything that was available to me, all of the resources, to set myself up when I inevitably knew that I would break out of society's matrix, which is what I'm doing now, and I will get into, which I did give the disclaimer that I would go really quickly through the last 2 years, but hey, I'm just letting it flow. So at the start of this year, I had a full-time job, and yeah, I think I just spent the first half of the year just really feeling into how much friction that was creating in my inner world. Again, really, really grateful. It was great for my nervous system. It was great for my wallet, my finances, but not for my soul. I just felt it grating against me. And, whenever we know that we want something to end, we always instinctively try to create the safety net. So, you want to take the next leap of faith. So instinctively you try and create the safety net so that when you jump, there's something to catch you. So that's what I was doing for the first half of this year, was just trying to, find other jobs, forms of income, get my business up and running. And then I just had this this is sort of the start of the last 3 months. I had this intuitive hit in July, excuse me, to quit my job, even though I didn't have a plan. And that was, again, that, like I was saying before, with how I thought I was going to tell this story in past tense, I realized that was the safer option. And for someone like me that is just very driven by my own evolution, I realized that you won't feel all of the development and all of the juicy nuggets that come with the safe course of action. So yeah, I wasn't planning to do it, but I got an intuitive hit to quit my job without a plan. So I did just that. And financially, since, I've been on this beautiful journey, like a very feminine-led journey. So when you're the feminine energy in this arena, say abundance arena, is the dominant space. It's very much about magnetizing money to you and in being in a very receivership space. So again, this isn't the point of the episode, but I've just had the most beautiful time redeveloping my relationship with abundance and have always had more than enough money over the last few months. And in that piece of the pie, so job and or career, I've spent that extra time. Obviously not working full time creates, a lot of freedom in my schedule. Burning my old business to the ground and rebuilding a new one. And I've just received the most incredible downloads about what the next chapter of Oasis State needs to be. Or if it's even going to be called Oasis State. I'm sort of, that's sort of floating around in my little intuitive bubble. So we will see. But it's just been the most gratifying process of just letting go of the safety net and just following my heart and waiting for the downloads, waiting for the intuitive hit. So that's what I've been doing for the last 3 months in that piece of the pie, the career and the money piece of pie. Is money has been magnetizing to me in surprising and delightful ways. And I've been rebuilding my business, which is just incredible. So yeah, I really wouldn't want to do it any other way. And then also just regulating my nervous system and shifting into this soft girl era, which is with all of this freedom in my schedule, and just getting to be the little fairy that I want to be, which is really, really awesome. Another thing that has happened in the last 3.5 months is I've ended my 4-year relationship, and it was a beautiful ending. I think we both knew that our time had come to an end, and it's not one of those breakups like, oh, what could we have done differently, or how could we fix this? We just knew that, okay, this chapter is done and our journeys together are done. And he also moved overseas for his business. So obviously that long distance we were going through as well sort of validated that the space is okay and that it is time to end the chapter. So so that's another major area of my life where I have followed my intuition and done what has needed to be done. And it's been very freeing, and there's just, a lot of respect, and we're moving on in different directions. So that's that. And then the third major thing that I have had an intuitive hit about to do with my life was to break my lease in the home I was living in down in Northern Rivers. And also, so it's sort of like a two-prong bit with this one. And also realizing that it was the end of my time in Northern Rivers. So Northern Rivers is in northern New South Wales, and I felt the call to move back up to the Gold Coast where I had previously been living. I was the leaseholder of this house that I was sharing with, it was a private rental with a friend, and it was all of the stability that you could ask for in a rental situation. And I had a great relationship with my landlord, but unfortunately it's sort of like the full-time job where you and actually the relationship, now I think about it, you try and try and try to make it work, and then you just get to this point where you surrender and you're like, it's done. It is time to move on. It is time to cut the cord and do the leap of faith into a new chapter. So I did that with the job, with the relationship, and with the decision to relocate an hour up the road and move out of my secure rental situation. And I could also just feel it in the house. I was having some trouble with the tenants that were in the house. That it just didn't feel like home anymore. It was a really genuinely uncomfortable experience, a really stressful experience. And so I followed my nose, followed my intuition, and broke that lease. And I had 6 weeks to find a place from when I broke the lease. And I remember thinking to myself when I first started looking, which was quite early on in like the journey of winding down, I was like, oh, you're being so stupid, Zoz. Like, you don't need to look 6 weeks out. There's not even going to be places available yet. And so that was actually 12 weeks ago, and I still have not found my next home. So that is the funny, karmic little cosmic joke. I just want to spend the rest of this episode sort of talking about all of the positives of not having a stable home. Like I have stability, and like the places that I'm staying are so beautiful and full of so much love, but I have been navigating so much change over the last 3 months, and I still haven't had a sense of home to feel safe enough to maybe move through the last few motions of that. And it doesn't totally make sense, but I think it's important from when you're in a space of moving from your ego to a soul-led place of, it's my ego saying, I don't know. And that's, I think I mentioned it already in this episode, that when you let yourself just say, I don't know, that is you handing the baton to your soul and your higher self, so it can step into the driver's seat and be like, yeah, babe, we know though. Like, just trust. Your ego's got the blindfold on, has no idea what's happening, but you're all in the same vehicle and you're all going in the right direction. So it's been a really beautiful journey, and also one of the hardest of my entire life, understandably. So yeah, I wasn't feeling a deep sense of community in Northern Rivers. I think I was drawn to that area to go into that spiritual cocoon. And I moved before my dad passed away, but it was probably, again, another intuitive thing of sort of moving out of the stimulation of the Gold Coast into a more spacious area. There's a lot of talk about like the healing properties of Northern Rivers because there's like a quartz shelf underneath the earth or something. I don't know. People just say that you are drawn to Northern Rivers when you need to go there. And I went there, and then, like I said, I was sort of coming out of my cocoon earlier this year, and I was like, I really just want this sense of community in Northern Rivers that I've been trying to create basically the whole time. And then, just had to surrender to, actually, I don't think I'm going to find that there. And the only way I can describe the Northern Rivers energy for me towards the end was that it felt really swampy. And I just wanted to create a foundation. Like I am in the process of creating a really solid foundation for this new version of myself, for this empowered, divinely led, authentic version of me. And I just couldn't get that sense of stability, I suppose, in Northern Rivers. So I was craving the electricity of the Gold Coast, and I decided to relocate up here. So let's cut forward to the moving process. So I'd been in my share house for 3 years, and it was quite a large house with multiple stories and 4 bedrooms, and my partner at the time were the leaseholders, and with him relocating to New Zealand, all of the responsibility of the house and breaking the lease and moving out was put on me, which was really intense. But so intense yet cathartic, because it was a large house that we'd been in for a few years, and we owned multiple couches and a washing machine and a fridge and just everything that you need, basically. Again, it was a lot of stability. And you might be sitting here listening to me like, okay, well, you had all this stability and now you're in the unknown and all you want is stability. Like, what are you doing, Zoz? There's a time in your life where even though everything is all rosy, you just know that it's time to change. I think everything around me was supporting this a mediocre life, and it's not because the house, the job, or the partner were mediocre things. It was just they were serving that version of me, and then I could feel, oh, sorry, dog's barking. Hey, I'm back. I had to stop that other recording and start this one because the dogs were barking. But as I mentioned at the start of this episode, I've just had so many curveballs and roadblocks to recording this. So I'm just going to keep rolling with the punches and hoping that you appreciate the imperfection that is this recording. But it's perfectly imperfect. So like I mentioned, it wasn't that the house or the job or the partner or the community around me were mediocre at all. I probably don't need to explain this in as much depth, because if you are listening to this episode, then you definitely feel those calls like I do to just keep edging out of your comfort zone and keep evolving. And it was just time to trim the fat. So it's like, yes, I had this stability in this home, but it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt really, really uncomfortable. And I suppose you could just call them growing pains. They're like the growing pains of evolution, and everything around you looks peachy keen, but on the inside you're like, oh my God, this is grating against me and I need to get out of here. I went through this crazy cathartic process of basically selling everything, because I knew I was never going to live in a house this big again. And, we had a big outdoor area and I just had so much stuff. So I culled a lot of it, donated it, sold it and everything. And then I was coming to like the last 2 weeks, 2 week to 1 week before I'm moving out, and I still didn't have a new home and or rental like lined up. And it caused caused me to have to cull more and more and more, because, when you're moving from one rental to another, you're like, okay, well, I'll keep the couch because I've seen the lounge room and I know that it'll fit. And then I'm just coming closer and closer to this move date, and I don't know where I'm going, so I don't know how much stuff I can keep. And it was absolutely keeping me up at night, guys. Obviously, I've cut the cord on all of this stability that I had in my life, and I thought the universe would support me and catch me right at the start of the fall. But now, weeks and weeks into being in this sort of like liminal space, it's just so, anyway, it'll all make sense at some point. But yeah, I was basically losing sleep at night because I was like, I don't know where I'm moving, what the hell? And then the reason I'm losing sleep as well is because I'm resisting what is. And that's my ego sort of being like, oh, okay, well, obviously everyone deserves a home, but it was just like a lot of shame and a lot of fear coming up. But in retrospect, like that's what I've sort of learned to do over this complete trustful with the universe is like, is the way that I'm viewing this situation hurting me or helping me, So back then, when I didn't know how deep into this trustful I would be, I was stressing about not having a place. And then I woke up one morning, like literally a few days before I was about to move, and I was like, oh my God, Zoe, like just put everything in a storage shed. It's fine. So I did just that. I got a very small storage shed, which meant I couldn't keep the last of the few things that I wanted to keep. So on top of cutting all these cords, I had this big cathartic process of basically selling 95% of what I own. And what a fucking woo-woo thing to do, hey? But out with the old and in with the new. So in this moment now, my things are in storage and I actually own a van. So I was like, I can go and do the van life and I'll go away in nature and I'll have a vision quest and like do all this stuff. But I was still feeling quite drawn to the Gold Coast. So what I've been doing for this is my 7th week without any indication of a permanent home coming my way, is I've been staying with my beautiful friends and family. And for someone that was in a spiritual cocoon and feeling quite lonely in the Northern Rivers, it's so funny because basically the universe is actually delivering to me what I asked for, which was community and support and love and connection. And so it's just making me emotional. I've just had so much kindness, given to me. And I just think back to that version of Zoz that was just so lonely and feeling unsupported in her relationships and her community and the people she was living with. I was just feeling so alone, and I just asked the universe for community and support and connection. And that's one of the beautiful things that has occurred from me not getting a permanent place yet and not having a permanent home, is that I've just completely had to lean into all of the love and support that was always there, you know, like my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful friends and family on the Gold Coast have just shown me so much kindness and so much unconditional acceptance as I'm just like sort of walking into this fire and just basically burning my old life to the ground. And everyone's like, yeah, babe, seems legit. Do you need to stay on the couch? Do you need to park your van out the front? Do you need us to look after Clifford? And it's just so beautiful because it's really had to soften the hyper independence in me. And that was another thing that I wanted to shift was, like many women, I'm so exhausted from being in my masculine all the time and having to take the lead. Like, I just want to receive. I want to feel safe. I want to feel authentically who I am, just to soften, like be soft but yet fierce. Like, it's this incredible initiation that I've gone through, and having to rely on people around me has been the most beautiful experience, but also the most uncomfortable, because probably every day I've had to ask someone for a favor. Just, hey, can I, just checking I can come and stay in that spare room, or can I, sleep on the couch? Can I come and use the washing machine? And it's really had to break through these walls of hyper independence that I created in my just prolonged state of masculinity, like being in my masculine energy, basically. So it's so wild because the universe does give you what you want. And this version of Zoz that was sitting in her big lonely house down in Northern Rivers, not feeling connected to anyone, just this whole feeling of being an alien, she prayed for this. She prayed for what I'm going through right now. And I genuinely believe that I don't have a permanent home yet is because my home was like sort of like my castle and my moat that I created around me. And I kept everyone at arm's length because I could just hide behind closed doors. And now having to show up at people's doorsteps exactly as I am. And I'm just realizing it is that vulnerability pieces again of just being like, hey, I need your help, or hey, I need to come as I am right now because I don't have anywhere else to put myself back together, you know? And it's not, I'm saying it like I'm having a hard time. And yes, it's really uncomfortable. It's just so gnarly some days, just the fear of, there's many days where I don't know where I'm sleeping that night. And it's not that I don't have options. It's just that I have to keep moving through the shame and keep moving through the independence and being like, hey, can I come stay here? And I've had places for like 2 weeks at a time, which has been very great for my nervous system. And then I've just had 24 hours somewhere or using someone's washing machine, you know? But I just want to give this disclaimer because I'm sort of focusing on like, it's hard and it's uncomfortable. But being on the other side of making all of these really crazy decisions, they're not crazy, but they are. They're sort of wild. It's a wild time, I'll admit that. The reward and being on the other side of that is that I am genuinely the happiest and the most aligned that I have ever been. My life is actually a dream now. I am so deeply rooted in this space of gratitude, and all of these little healthy habits that are just naturally appearing in my life. And it's not like I'm actively, trying to be a healthier person. It's just because I'm happy that they're naturally happening. So, for example, I'm waking up like before sunrise every day effortlessly, whereas when I was sort of more in that cocoon and then I was feeling quite depressed because life is so out of alignment and I was having trouble with my housemates and obviously grieving a relationship before it was over, but just being so unhappy in so many areas of my life, it was really hard to get out of bed, to be honest. It was really, really hard. And now I'm just like, my eyelids are just, flickering open in the morning like freaking Cinderella, and all the little birds and the bees come in and do my hair and ribbons and all of that, I just wake up and I'm just instantly in such a high vibration. And then I go down, do sunrise, I'll go to the beach, etc. And I'm just so deeply in this space of gratitude. It's so effortless. And then another cool thing that happened with me being on the other side of all of these crazy decisions is I got this notification on my health app on my phone the other day, and it was like, every day for however many days, it was like a few weeks, you've had, more movement, more steps, you've burned more kilojoules, everything. And I wasn't even trying. I'm just loving moving my body. I've been running on the beach. I've been roller skating. I swear, honestly, one of the main reasons I moved back to the Gold Coast is for the infrastructure. I just missed having the footpaths, and I love my roller skates, and it's just honestly, putting your headphones in and having a skate is the most therapeutic thing you can do. Well, for me, it's the most therapeutic thing I can do for myself. And yeah, just all of these habits that were so natural to this version of myself that I had to give up to be in Northern Rivers. And there's no beef on Northern Rivers. This version of myself that I am now, and it's happened so naturally, and I catch myself giggling. I was having the best conversation with a friend of mine the other night, and I haven't laughed like that in so long, and it was just so fucking beautiful. See, it's like so nice how easily you can just like be so fucking grateful. And I'm just like pinching myself every day that this is my life now. And, I'm so fucking happy. And I'm so proud of those versions of Zoz that just like sorry. Yeah, it's just been really fun to laugh again and just be around people that feel safe and inspire you to be the best version of yourself, and just having really deep and meaningful, like beautiful, deep, insightful conversations and everything. Like, fuck my life. It's just so beautiful, So yeah, this is me on my deep gratitude journey, and I basically cry every day with how beautiful my life is. And the funny part is that I still don't have a home, and it's such a fucking minor detail, because I think when I'm in the fear and I'm in the shame, it's when I'm viewing this whole experience and trustful with the universe through my ego. And I'm trying to control things, and I'm trying to, things should be this way, and I need this to, things are conditional. I need this to feel that, and I need this to feel this. And, yeah, and then I just get back into my fucking soul and my heart, and I'm like, holy shit, this is so cool. And I just feel all of the love and all of the oneness and all of the connection. Like, I just feel it all like so deeply, and it's always right there. But I just had to go through what I've been through in the last few years to just really initiate into this. And I just love... Sorry, this must be so annoying to listen to with all my sniffling. It's just so beautiful when I just let go of the steering wheel, how beautifully my life has formed around me. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. I have like the most beautiful interactions with, reconnecting with friends I haven't seen for years, and strengthening relationships that I've already got, and even just strangers on the street. Like, I have the best interactions with people all the time, and I'm having all these really cool experiences with animals, and like dogs keep coming and sitting on my lap, and I just feel like on this energetic level, people are just like feeling that upgrade. And I've had a few friends say to me, they're like, I don't mean to invalidate everything you've been through, but you're fucking glowing. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm so happy. And I would just do all of what I did again and again and again. And I'm so glad I came on here and recorded this podcast episode, because it just made me realize that not having a home yet is such a minor detail, because I'm already there. I'm already that version of me that I journaled about 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. I'm already that version of her that past as I was wanted to be. And all of those past versions of me just kept showing up for me to be where I am right now. And it's the fucking coolest place. And like, this is just the fucking beginning as well. I think I was harping on at the start about like, I just know that I'm here to lead people into this new way of life. Because if you're listening to me, like, other people from the outside would see my life and think that it's utter chaos, but these are my decisions, and I feel so empowered, and I feel so divinely supported and led. And like I said, all the animals and synchronicities and stuff, but just like, yeah, the synchronicities are just so out of control. And I actually have been obsessed with frangipani flowers. I've got one in my hand right now, and I finally had this inkling to look it up today. And frangipani flowers are so are symbolic for resilience, because even when you uproot them, so if you cut off like a branch of the frangipani, it still blooms. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly what I'm going through. So yeah, I think I need to get off this podcast so I can like actually go and have a cathartic cry. It's not a vulnerability thing. Like, I actually would just be okay to keep crying, but I feel like just for the sake of convenience, I'll go and do that by myself so you guys can get on with your lives. But I'll keep you posted on this whole journey, because I do actually have a lead on a granny flat and I'm really excited about that. But this week, anytime I was trying to like take the lead or take control, it was sort of slipping away from me more and more. So that was the universe, is definitely again asking me to surrender. And every time I'm trying to control or create a meaning behind what's happening, or feeling shame towards what's happening because it's not a particular way or it doesn't fit society's mold, that is me in my ego. And that's okay when I'm in my ego, because it reminds me, okay, you now have the tools and ability and awareness to pivot back into your soul, into a heart-centered place and into a soul-led place where I can cry tears of absolute gratitude, because everything is so perfect. Everything is exactly the way that it fucking should be. And I just know that I'm going through this to help everyone else, or anyone that it resonates with, to go through a similar thing. Because like I said, some people aren't going to understand the journey. I don't even understand the journey right now, but as long as I'm not putting weight on people's opinion of what I'm doing, then I'm going to be okay. And it's me showing up for me in this like insane queen-like energy. Like, I literally have never been more confident and more in alignment and feeling more authentically myself than I do now. And it's because I had the confidence to follow that feeling and follow my inner voice and trust that light within me. And it's crazy guidance of quit your job, end your long-term relationship, move house, move out. Like, none of this had like a safety net on the other side. I did not have a plan for any of it. And there's all this stuff happening in my career area as well. Like, I've had the most insane opportunities come my way this week, but for the sake of the timing of the episode, maybe I'll break, there's definitely time to record more episodes if you're interested in knowing what's going on in my career, purpose, financial journey, because that is such a wild, beautiful journey as well right now. So, oh my gosh, I hope that helped somebody. Well, it definitely helped me. Like I said, I am coming on here to completely shift this shame block. And what do you reckon? I think I fucking did it. I think I fucking did it, because I just feel so light and easy now, and I feel playful again, and I feel like my fairy self, and I feel like I want to giggle and just go and do art and everything. And that's the wild thing, guys, is that this entire time that I've been like in the complete unknown and all of the fear and the shame that's come up, I'm also simultaneously the most inspired and relaxed that I've ever been. So it's sort of like when you're in the unknown, the polarities are so much more extreme, but you build this queen-like energy around you, or king, if there's kings listening, you build this sort of like king and queen energy around you, because you're like, look at me holding the polarities of these two, and let's fucking transmute them into the highest expression and then push that out into the world. Like, what do you mean I get to do this? This is the coolest thing ever. So yeah, I think I definitely shifted the shame block. How cool. And yeah, as I was saying, I went on a tangent just then, but I really, really hope this helps someone other than me. But I know you guys are listening, you're on a similar journey, and you're looking around at society and feeling like, what the fuck is going on? You feel like an alien. You feel like none of the jobs, none of the places, none of the values align with you. And that's because they're not meant to. If you feel like society is just a complete schmozzle, it's because it is, and you're not meant to accept it. And it's the sooner that you can step into your unique authenticity, the quicker your life around you can change. And like I said, there's so many unknowns, but I'm the happiest and most aligned I could ever be. I feel like the life has always given me like a big, deep cuddle. And even though I'm still transmuting things and it's a lifelong journey, it's not a destination, but yeah, I feel so much lighter getting to talk about this. So if you're still listening, thank you so much. And I'll keep you posted. Let me know if you're interested in knowing about this journey a bit more. But yeah, I will keep you posted on the whole house journey, and then everything that I'm going through, I'm turning into 2 lessons for my new business as well, which I'll talk about throughout different podcast episodes. But yeah, it's basically going to be a library of evergreen content where people can, dip their toes into all these different areas of the spiritual journey, because as you've probably heard over the last few years, I've had to lean on I've had to shift this stuff and lean into awareness, building, a stronger sense of authentic awareness and creating tools and support networks and rituals to help myself. So, I just love that I get to pull up at a cafe every day and create these authentic offerings that I know are going to help, past versions and current versions of me. So, thanks. Oh, sorry, I just sort of screamed in the phone. I probably did that 50 times, but whatever. I love you guys so much. I see you, I hear you, I feel you. If you are on a similar journey, keep fucking going. It is the best. It is the best, and it is worth it, and you are needed, and you are loved, and you're important. Okay, bye. Hey, beautiful soul. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Oasis State podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with a friend. It means the world to me knowing that everyone who needs this medicine and magic can lovingly receive it. Also, I'd love to hear from you, so feel free to reach out via social media, my website, or email. Can't wait to connect, and until then, sending you heaps of love.